And I put this picture up there so all the tards will think I'm talking about some drunken girl. Actually, it's about Revelation 17. So if you don't want to hear about the old end time prophecy, just switch it off. Because there's been much discussion on who's the harlot. Well, some people say it's a church. People say it's a country, government. It could be a corporation. Trying to identify the industry might help to know what the wine is. Now, that wine has to be something that the whole earth is drunk on. The whole earth, all the people of the earth have drunk this wine. That includes you Christians out there, so don't think that you're exempt. Let's see. Over the past, a little over 100 years, I would say oil. Look at the keyboard, the screen you're looking at. The petrochemicals everywhere. You know, the gas and diesel fuel it took to get the parts and pieces to put it together in the factory. The electricity made with petrochemical. The tires, everything. We're totally drunk. The world, everybody in the world has been touched by the petrochemical industry. So that's the number one wine that we're all drunk on. Now, of course, if you're a Christian, you should be cutting back on that. You know, just because gluttony does not include just eating. It's not just food and wine. It can be, you can be gluttonous on anything. So, yeah, if you think it's just for fat people, no, gluttony, it can go on to anything. So if it's oil, I'm going to say it points toward the Middle East, specifically Saudi Arabia and Mecca. I'm going to give them 60% because there's two other wines that the world is drinking and adulterating and fornicating with that point to the United States. One is the communications industry. I'm going to bring them up, and there's a link below. There's 7 media giants that own everything. Everything we see and hear as news around the world. Now, this harlot sits on a 7-headed beast. Now, that's kind of a coincidence. So, you know, could the beast and the horns be these big corporations? I mean, these 7 corporations are definitely programming the mass population. The people in this country believe everything they see on the boob tube. I mean, television. So yeah, that the television is definitely a programming tool used by the corporations. And these big mega corporations, they buy the best politicians. You know, they make sure they have representatives up there in Washington or around the world. I mean, these big mega corporations have representatives in France, Germany, England, Japan, China, Russia. You know, so yeah, they got tentacles going everywhere. So they are definitely manipulative. Now, then so I'm going to add, you know, all electronic communication, electricity, as another one of the possibilities of being a wine that the whole world is drunk on. And it's touched everybody. Or, you know, the media giants, the word that's getting out. And that includes newspapers, so it's information. This wine could be the information being spewed out, you know. And in that case, it would probably point to Hollywood, New York, and, you know, the major propaganda producers. You ever notice you watch a foreign country's news and you see them talking about the United States all the time? What happened in this city? Hey, don't they have enough news going on in Germany? They don't have to talk about the United States. But anyway, uh, you got that, and then we got just capitalism in general could be one of the wines. In which case, it would probably point to Wall Street again. So it's up between Saudi Arabia and the United States as being the harlot, because we've all drunk, all population of the earth has drunk from those two things. I'm really leaning toward the petrochemical thing because the the beheading of Christians and all like that over there in the Middle East right now could definitely be called the tribulations. So we don't know. There's some interesting heavenly signs happening or finalizing in 2015. So I'm going to take a wait and see attitude. It's I'm going to try my best to be ready to go, and try my best not to use as much as I'm going to use as little corporate stuff as I can. Use as little, I'm going to try to make the smallest footprint I can possibly make. I don't want to use very little oil, very little products, very little waste. And I would suggest everybody do that anyway, but that's not going to happen. Let's see, is there anything else? Well, yeah, if you claim to be a Christian, you gotta have to start minimizing your footprint, using the oil and taking everything you hear on television as the gospel. You best read the Bible for yourself, and then read the news. Look up Israel news. They usually tell what's going on affects them in the Middle East, and they have an English version over there. So you can look at some Israeli English newscasts and see what they say is going on over there. Of course, don't get me wrong; they propagandize too. So anyway, that's my thing on the wine. I'm going to say it's between. Now, a lot of people think it's the Catholic Church is the harlot. At Rome, sitting on the 7 hills and all like that. Now, the harlot is something that everybody on earth has, her wine, everybody has drank of this wine. Not everybody has drank of Catholicism. Not everybody is a Catholic, so it can't be Rome. But definitely oil. Oil, the petrochemical company, petroleum, has touched everybody, and we have all drank of that wine. Well, I'm going to try to minimize it. Drink out of a mason jar, so at least my glass jar isn't made with petrochemicals. Oh, man. Anyway, y'all have a good one, and you can read Revelation 17 for yourself and try to figure out, who do you think the harlot is? I'm going by looking at the wine. This wine has to be touched by every person on earth. We have to be drunk on this wine, and that really, really points to oil.